18 past the hour last week, DHS officials attempted to enter two public Los Angeles elementary schools, asking to speak to several children. The department said they were conducting wellness checks on the children. School officials turned them away, however. Joining us now, Alberto Carvalho, superintendent of the Los Angeles Unified School District and a personal friend of mine whom I very much admire. Alberto, thank you for being with us this morning. So what exactly happened in these schools?
Good morning, Jose. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Great to see you. Look, last week we had about 4 to 5 agents showing up at 2 elementary schools 2 hours apart. We believe it was the exact same team asking for access to students ranging in grade from 1st through 6th grade. Obviously, we trained our principals, our support staff in denying access to students without a judicial warrant, a criminal warrant signed by a judge. I would find it very difficult to believe that a first grader or a second grader would have committed some type of crime that would require some interaction with a federal agency. So the principals asked for identification from these individuals. They did produce IDs. When the principals attempted to write information from their IDs, they quickly pocketed those IDs, conveying to the principals that that was not allowed. And then they actually conveyed to the principals that they wanted to meet with the students and they had parental permission from these students' parents to have access to them, which is counterintuitive since they did declare in a statement that was produced by the Department of Homeland Security after this incident that their reason for being at the schools was because these students were unaccompanied minors. By the way, we made contact with the guardians of these children. In no instance, at no point was that access granted to these federal agents.
So, Alberto, I want to be very clear, Superintendent, what the Department of Homeland Security actually said after this, and I'm just going to quote it. It says, officers were at these schools conducting wellness checks on children who arrived unaccompanied at the border. This had nothing to do with immigration enforcement. Superintendent, what's your response to that? And also, there is a concern for maybe up to hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied minors who cross the border and who many times are in conditions that should be checked on, found, and make sure they're okay.
I absolutely agree. There should be wellness checks, but I think we can all agree that one of the safest places in America for children are public schools, under the protection of teachers, of principals, of superintendents. Secondly, let's be clear about one thing. This is what the agents said when they went to the schools, that they were not ICE, they were with the Department of Homeland Security. They did not state the reason as to why they want access to the students. The statement that was released after the fact does convey that message. However, it seems to be somewhat untrue because they did declare that they had spoken with the parents of these children, which would render them something less than unaccompanied, and the parents had granted them access. This is blatantly untrue. But I want to make an additional point. Look, we are compelled from a legal perspective to protect these kids based on FERPA, which is the Federal Education Rights Privacy Law. We are compelled to protect children from access to anyone on the basis of privacy and confidentiality. Secondly, under the Constitution of the United States of America, we are obliged to provide a free public education to every single student, regardless of immigration status. And then lastly, there is something called in loco parentis, which every single educator knows. In the absence of a parent, I, as an educator, as a superintendent, as a principal, as a teacher, need to act in a protective manner as if I were that child's parent. So we do not grant access to anyone to have access to our children on the basis of those 3 very important legal parameters, no matter what.